You are not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Have you ever wondered why it feels so easy to delay what matters most, even when you know it only makes things worse? It's almost like there's an invisible force inside you, sabotaging every attempt to start, pulling you back to the couch, to your phone, to distractions. And maybe you think it's just laziness, lack of focus, weakness. But what if I told you it's none of those things? The truth, the one nobody tells you, is that procrastination isn't about laziness, it's about pain. Emotional pain, stress, pressure. And your escape from all of that is turned into an automatic survival habit, hardwired into your brain. But here's the point. You weren't born a procrastinator. You learned how to procrastinate. And if it was learned, it can be unlearned. In this video, you're going to discover the only scientifically proven way to break the cycle of procrastination. Not with empty motivational quotes or fake life hacks, but with a method that's real, powerful, and simple. And by the end, maybe for the first time, you'll finally understand. The problem was never starting. The problem was believing you had to feel ready to do it. Understanding procrastination. Procrastination isn't really about the task. It's a response to what you're feeling. Most people believe procrastination is about laziness or lack of discipline. That if you're avoiding a hard task, it's because you're weak or unmotivated. But that's a lie your own brain tells you. Procrastination is an emotional shield. Your mind isn't sabotaging you. It's protecting you from discomfort. And most of the time, that discomfort has nothing to do with the task itself. At the root of procrastination, there's always stress. Stress from a fight with someone you love. Stress from debt piling up. Stress from uncertainty about your life's direction. When stress builds, your brain makes a quick and unconscious choice. This is too much. And it redirects your attention to something easier. A YouTube video. Scrolling on your phone. A snack. A little stress relief at a very high cost. Your self-esteem, your productivity, your progress. And the most dangerous part? That cycle becomes a behavioral pattern. Your brain starts to associate important tasks with emotional pressure. And slowly, it creates a habit of avoidance. Each time you choose short-term relief over long-term growth, your brain learns. This works. And that's how self-sabotage sneaks in, wearing the mask of relaxation. This is the exact moment where the pattern must, and can, be broken. But before you change the behavior, you have to understand the invisible loop behind it. Puzzle piece: the habit loop of procrastination. Every habit is powered by a quiet cycle that controls your actions. In procrastination, this cycle is both sneaky and powerful. It begins with a trigger, almost always stress. It could be a tense message from your boss, or a looming deadline. That trigger activates an internal resistance, a reflex that whispers, "I can't do this right now." And that resistance leads to the second part of the cycle, the pattern. The pattern is the automatic response. In procrastination, the pattern is to avoid. Avoid starting. Avoid finishing. Avoid discomfort. And where does your brain go? To anything that feels good right now. A snack, a distraction, a game, a funny video. This is your brain doing what it was wired to do. Seek reward, even if that reward is fake or fleeting. The problem? That quick fix reinforces the habit. Your brain sees it as a win, even though it's really a trap. And then comes the third part of the loop, the reward. That moment of stress relief, even if it's just temporary, tells your brain, "Good job." But the task still sits there. The guilt comes. The pressure increases. The loop restarts. And the more you repeat it, the deeper it gets. But here's the good news. If a loop was learned, it can be rewired. This is where the real power of habit science comes in, giving you the tools to flip the cycle in your favor. How to break the procrastination habit. It all begins with awareness. You can't change what you don't understand. The first step in breaking the procrastination cycle is to recognize the trigger. Say to yourself, "I must be stressed about something." This simple phrase can be transformational. Instead of blaming yourself, you create a mental pause, a moment between impulse and reaction. And in that space lies freedom. The freedom to change your behavior. The freedom to break the habit. The second tool is to interrupt the pattern. This is where the 5-4-3-2-1 rule comes in. This countdown isn't just a gimmick. It activates your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making center of your brain. It gives you back control. You don't wait for motivation. You move before hesitation creeps in. So take a breath, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take action. Don't overthink. Just start. And then comes the third step. Start small. You don't have to write the whole book today, or fix your entire life in 1 hour. Just start with 5 minutes. That's all. Set a tiny goal. Open the file. Send the email. Clean one drawer. The trick is to bypass resistance by tricking your brain into thinking it's a small effort. But here's the magic. Studies show that 80% of people keep going once they start. Because the real problem was never doing the task. It was the internal resistance to starting. And once you break through that wall, the flow follows. You don't need to eliminate stress. Trying to live without stress is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. Stress is part of life, part of growth, part of pressure that pushes you forward. What you can and must do is change how you respond to stress. Swap the old pattern of avoidance for a new one, conscious action. It's not about escaping pressure. It's about learning not to let it paralyze you. Each time you react differently, you rewire your brain. That's the beauty of habit science. It shows us that we're not stuck, that we can rebuild the inner structure of our thoughts. When you choose to start, even with fear, even with doubt, even with pressure, you're training your mind. And the more you train, the easier it becomes. Your new habit becomes immediate action, not delay. Your new reward? Pride in progress, not guilt for hiding. And this new pattern? It changes everything. Your self-esteem begins to rise. Your productivity becomes a byproduct of clarity, not chaos. And ironically, the same stress that once held you back becomes your fuel. Because what used to block you now drives you forward. But the real question is, how do you apply this when life gets loud and messy? Now tell me, how many times have you looked in the mirror and wondered why you just can't seem to start? How many goals have you pushed to next Monday? How many brilliant ideas died in the graveyard of procrastination? The truth is, you don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. What you need is a new pattern. A bold, simple, immediate action, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And when you take that first step, something changes. Not in the world, in you. The question now is, will you apply this, or just watch and forget? Will you repeat the same avoidance loop, or will you finally take control of your own life? If you made it this far, something inside you has already started to shift. Now turn that shift into motion. And tell me, what will your first action be today? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. And if this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stick with us as we build a mind resistant to procrastination and aligned with your true potential.